Okay, we'll move on a step now. You've identified the potential adopters, and this is how you might consider ways to target your activities towards those. Now, this is some work we did looking at the diffusion curve for no-till, in this case up to 2002 across Australia. So the percent of farmers using some no-till. Okay, so thinking back to Roger's definitions, this is just starting to use no-till on your farm. It's not about the extent of use on farm, it's once you've started to use it. And you can see differences between the states there, and you might be able to see where this survey of 1,200 generated these results. Now, going back to 2003, the factors influencing adoption. Now Dave previewed this study that we did, and I won't spend much time on it. A lot of learning-related factors at the top. Higher education, some of the classics are there. The fall in glyphosate price accelerated adoption by about 50% if you're looking at some of this analysis. And there were those factors that you could target, and in fact many of the no-till organisations around Australia did target these perceptions where non-adopters were perhaps a little bit more worried about some issues, or weren't quite aware of these issues as what adopters often in the very same districts were, and there were opportunities to generate processes to share that information around. But in terms of what not to target, and back then there still was quite a bit of work going on targeting that, was the ability of no-till to reduce erosion. Now that wasn't significant, but that doesn't mean it's not important in no-till adoption. It's just that when it came to delivering information about that, I think it was about 86% or almost all of no-till adopters listed that as a reason. If you just ask them, it's to reduce erosion. And they fully understood that adopting no-till reduced erosion. But the issue is that the non-adopters had exactly the same belief. The same proportion of non-adopters believed that would be the case. They had full understanding. Additional extension focusing on that wouldn't have got you any further. So where are we now? This has added another 5 years onto the diffusion curve. And for anyone who's enjoys diffusion curves and the classic diffusion curves, this is looking very majestic at this stage. As long as you're patient, as long as you weren't expecting adoption back in 1970, with patience, a patient outlook, you can see a lot of majesty in this beautiful diffusion curve. Some differences between the states, and particular differences between regions in the state that I won't go into. And we can see a very rapid acceleration in the last 6 years. And just remember that one of the factors that did drive no-till adoption is, for some people counterintuitively, a dry year with lots of erosion the previous year leads to very rapid spikes in adoption the following year. And I'd put that in the learning opportunity basket. Okay, there was a question earlier, I think Roger might have mentioned farmers not being too keen on information from too far away. This is some work from WA just a few years ago. Simple willingness to pay. Question, how much would you be willing to pay for trial information from different distances away? And you certainly can see it falling away. Keep in mind that this is in the northern ag region of WA, where driving 200 kilometres doesn't actually change all that much compared to driving 200 kilometres in a lot of Victoria. So you do see that relationship to distance and the value placed on local information in terms of making a change. Okay, just to finish off, I really like this quote from Herbert Simon, Nobel Prize winning economist. A wealth of information creates a poverty of attention and a need to allocate the attention efficiently among the overabundance of information sources that might consume it. Something I guess we're all aware of, and increasingly aware that farmers are facing this allocation of attention when we talk about poor attendance at events and things like that. So the appeal of convenience agriculture, we've got less managers per hectare, attention is increasingly scarce and valuable, and for many of us in this room, I think the practices we're looking at fall into the inconvenient category. And I think there's some good examples there. You see livestock and running sheep, people shifting to pure cropping. Precision agriculture on the right-hand side there. The components of precision agriculture that have been adopted are the convenient ones: guidance, steering. The things that have been slow, site-specific management, variable rate management, are things that have perhaps been made too complex and perhaps not enough attention given to convenience and the management and learning costs involved with that. And where you can reduce that management and learning with variable rate and zoning, cheaper ways, more cost-effective, simpler ways to zone, you're seeing more rapid adoption. Just to wrap up, it is possible, probably more possible than what people realise, to predict a high proportion of adoption decisions for a particular practice. And in doing so, you can identify the common factors driving the adoption decisions. And most importantly, the perceptions and the opportunities for learning. And then you can target that RD&E towards those factors that are most influential, and importantly away from those that probably won't make much difference. I think it's also important in doing that and considering the scarcity of attention and things like that to consider this information quality and what you can do to be delivering information. From a research perspective, there might not be a need statistically for so many different sites, but thinking in terms of information cost and learning costs, there is some justification there. And I think it's also time to start to be thinking about novel ways to address this attention scarcity and novel ways to encourage sort of local perhaps clusters with that additional information provision and the opportunity for hired help to deliver local and specific information. I'll leave it there.